So I just wanted to hop on here really quick and haven't even hooked up like all my equipment, but I wanted to go over this. So the sewer meeting last night, they're proposing to put a new sewer system up on the basically northeast side of Wakulla County, up there close to the state prison, and I believe one of the investors, who is NG Wade, was there last night along with the engineering firm Dewberry Engineering, who is curiously located directly next to DEP. And so kind of the story is that the state told us we have to. Looks like there's some feds involved from what I see. And everybody has a lot of good questions. Couple of points I want to make is that Dewberry Engineering, so they are well versed in garnering some business from county governments. I find it interesting just because it's curious that they're located right next to DEP, and then all of a sudden we need this new sewer infrastructure on the northeast side of the county when we've got other stuff going on. We haven't even paid off the loans for the other sewers yet, or the other sewer work, at least not to my knowledge. Now, it might come out in the debt report that it proves me wrong, so we'll see. We'll see when we get the 2024 debt report. But as of I know right now is that we are still in debt for sewer that we have not paid for. So there is a special Wakulla Springs area. There is a thing called a BMAP. And this is something that DEP, I guess they test the water, and then if we have too much of a pollutant, then you are put into a certain category. Then there is a subsequent map that is garnered, and then they, I guess, want you to fix it. So I did reach out to ask what the penalties are to any county that doesn't fix it, or what's the recourse. It's a law, so it's in the Florida statutes, but I'm just curious. I mean, like, is the state going to sue you, or the Fed's going to sue you? How does that work? So if your brain thinks that far and you're interested, we might discuss that at a later date. As far as the BMAP, so the legislature did this to protect the springs, other water bodies. We're just going to use our springs because of Wakulla Springs. So there are distinct places in the map I'm about to show you, and they are designated kind of as trouble areas. And these are the ones that we want to fix first. So one of my questions last night was, we are putting septic tanks in Lake Ellen in 1/10 of an acre lots, but we're worried about the northeast side of Wakulla County. If you go out there by Commerce Boulevard, there are houses out there, but there's not an excessive amount. Another gentleman pointed that out last night, that there's only about 900 houses in that area. Why does this make sense? You're talking about shutting down the sewer in Mysterious Waters, I think, if I'm correct. And then you're talking about shutting the one down out there by the prison that's already operating. You're talking about shutting down the one in St. Mark's and building one big, beautiful sewer system. So that's kind of where we're at. And I did hear a lady ask about what they do with the old sewer, and it seems like they are able to sell off the parts, or, whatever they need to do. So I'm not really sure about the health of those sewer systems because I don't have sewer. So I am the person that's there going, I love my septic tank. All right, a couple of things. A lot of the questions also centered on who's going to pay for it. And of course, Mr. Edwards' response was that nobody needs to pay anything, of which then I said, well, actually you do pay for it because it's your taxpayer money, to which he retorted that he would rather Wakulla County have that money than some other county get it. I agree with that up until a point, but my question is, do we need it? Is there something else that we need to take care of first? Are we putting the cart before the horse? Also, I have the question of how much influence NG Wade and Dewberry Engineering have, how much influence on our county to push forward with something when we haven't even taken care of the stuff in other places. Because what I have read on the DEP website and through this BMAP process is that we don't really have a timeline. They could kick us into another category saying you're the bad kid, but there's really no timeline on when we have to do this. Now, the gentleman that I reached out to at DEP, he might come back and tell me different. Hey, you're going to get sued, whatever. If that happens, I will come on here and let you know. All of this has to do with nitrogen. Sorry, guys, I'm consulting some notes that I had last night because I really wanted to get this out while it was fresh on my brain. There's a bunch of studies on nitrogen and septic tanks. Uh, some conflicting research. So apparently, probably 10 years ago, maybe even longer, when the legislature was trying to pass all these bills and do these things, there was a group of people that went to the legislature and said there is a way in which you can do your drain field that will eliminate 90% of the nitrogen. Nobody would talk to them, nobody would have anything to do with them. Also, if you have a septic tank that is healthy and you care for it properly, they do their job. So they can eliminate up to 90% of the nitrogen. Now, not everybody takes care of their septic tanks, and I understand that. So, fair point. Again, I want to say that I am not against high density sewer system areas because I think that is the most efficient and logical way. I definitely think Lake Ellen should have sewer, and I was told last night that they have run the main up to Floyd Gray Road, so I'm not sure what they're waiting on, but he's waiting on something to get that done. So sewer is on the way in Lake Ellen, which is a good thing because it is high density, small lots. I think it truly is a great thing. So moving forward, I'm just one of those people that has acreage and I don't really care to have sewer. My septic tank is extremely healthy. And I have never had it pumped. I wanted to mention that too. I've never had my septic tank pumped because I've never needed to. There is a thing called green pig that will help balance the bacteria in your septic tank to eat the sewage or the grime or whatever you want to call it. So, there's things you can do to keep your septic tank healthy and to keep your environment healthy and to be good to your water and your springs at the same time. Also, I would encourage you to Google, YouTube. There are many videos on YouTube actually about sewer systems, about actual sewage plants, how they work, and I think you will find it curious about the chemicals that are put into them. And then that is sent out like in your spray field at the golf course or put back into the water system to replenish the groundwater. So just saying you might want to take a look at that because in my view, just my personal view, if you have a properly operating septic tank, I contend that it's better for the environment. The chemicals that are put into those sewer treatment plants are pretty interesting. And I just can't see how that helps growth. If we know anything about bleach, chlorine is one of them that they use in these sewer treatment plants. Bleach kills everything. I try to clean with it as little as possible. So, not an environmentalist, just trying to do my part as a human. So there's been different studies. There's another study done where planting certain types of trees and bushes around the drain field area. Now you have to be careful because you don't want your roots going into your drain field, but certain types of plants will absorb a good amount of the nitrogen as well. So there are options out there to things that you can do if you want to help the environment, but you aren't really tickled about getting on a sewer plant. So this is kind of about taking responsibility for your own stuff, right? Now, another thing was the force of connection. So we're going to kind of get into a little bit of that here. This is a part of the DEP website that I found that may interest you. Here is the big triangle. So this isn't the triangle we saw last night, but this is like the big triangle, and it will give you a description over here. The Wakulla River and Wakulla Springs Basin Management Action Plan. So this is your BMAP area. It says down here. You can also zoom in and out on this map, which is actually pretty cool. I'm going to put this in the video description. And so you can come along and read. I highly recommend you read these paragraphs to the left. And then you can look up here. You can click on these. I actually have not. So, have some fun with it. It's a nice little website. There are 2 PFAs. These are the Springs Priority Focus Areas. If you were there at the meeting last night, you would have heard them refer to that. And it says there are 2 PFAs in the Upper Wakulla River and Wakulla Springs Basin that are sub-areas within the BMAP boundary. So the triangle that we were looking at last night was kind of an upside down triangle that encompassed a lot of this area here on the right hand side. The PFAs represent the areas in the basin where the aquifer is most vulnerable to inputs and where there are the most connections between groundwater and Wakulla Springs. So that's what they're saying, is that, okay, we have a problem. Now, what I think is interesting, because I did ask about Lake Ellen and why it was not a priority over the northeast side, is that Lake Ellen is dangerously close to this PFA area and is inside of the BMAP. So there would be like all your little Lake Ellen lots. And then if you're on the north or the east side, then you actually are in the PFA area, which is the one that's a little more of concern. So, and then this kind of gives you some nitrogen sources. Claims that 34%, like was said last night, that septic tanks create 34%. I wonder how they test that. Maybe one day, if I'm just bored, I'll go and look at it. I would like to know more about the testing and where they're getting their numbers from. I mean, it makes me want to go out there and test my own septic tank and like see how much nitrogen I'm putting out into the earth. This will tell you some things about your on-site sewage treatment. So what they mean by on-site sewage treatment is a septic tank. So if you have a septic tank and you want to keep your septic tank, you're not interested in a $50 a month bill that will continue to go up and probably be taxed again at some point, and you'll have it for life, and that's what it's going to, if you're not interested in being connected to the system, this section is for you. This will tell you what you can, what you can't do, the upgrades. They'll probably do a grant program where they will pay you to upgrade. Those aerated systems do have to run off of electricity, so now you've increased your electric consumption. I don't know what kind of repairs go into those type of aerated systems. Where they are going to catch you if you have an old school system is if you ever have to have a repair made. Example, you need your drain field redone, whatever. They're going to hit you with, oh, sorry, you've got to upgrade, or you got to connect to sewer. So the goal is to get you connected to the system. The goal isn't to make anything really better. Again, I encourage you to go look at how sewer treatment plants work, and then what is put into the water that goes back into the ground, and then you eventually drink it. It's up to you. It's for every person to discern how they want to think or feel about it. Personally, I'll keep my septic tank. Means I won't be calling anyone for repairs. So if you've never seen a drain field put in, I'd probably YouTube that too, just in case you need to replace your drain field. I've actually seen it done. I actually had a second home that I had a drain field done on, and it's not a terrible process. Helps if you have a tractor to dig the holes with. Yeah. This is like all the standards they want you to meet. Then you got some Florida statutes here again. And this goes kind of into Florida agriculture and the Springs and Aquifer Protection Acts, blah, 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 stuff that I know little about, but you are welcome to read about. So this was another interesting thing that I found is Springs Priority Focus Area. You might want to read through this, educate yourself. Yeah, at a minimum, the core parameters will be tracked to determine the progress that has been made towards meeting the TMDL and or achieving the numeric nutrient criteria. For this BMAP, nitrate is considered to be the key core parameter measured to track progress in decreasing nitrogen concentrations in groundwater and the water surfacing at the spring vent. So it looks like they test the nitrate down at the spring vent. So that's probably where you would have to do that. Told you guys, I'm not no science techie. That's a fact. Here's your surface water quality. So I'm guessing that's probably where they test things. What's it say? Recreation boat dock. So it's at a boat dock somewhere. Well, gee, I wonder if the boat dock is what it is. I would be interested to know more about the science behind it and the testing. Anyway, more nitrogen means less oxygen, more algae, from what I understand. Here's several monitoring tools to measure direct biological response to the water quality improvement or decline in the springs. Yeah, this actually goes into a lot of the science. I might have to read this later. And see, here's some other dashboards, watershed information network. I mean, there's tons of information here for you to educate yourself on. And then here's the project. So here's what I found interesting on this versus the meeting last night. At the meeting last night, it was kind of portrayed to us that nothing was in the works. This was just a feel for how people felt about it, the public, getting a little tempo. I don't think so. I still find it interesting that NG Wade that owns. So let me go here and show you. If you go into these areas, where's commerce? That's 267. This must be commerce. Yeah, so NG Wade owns a ton of property out here. As a matter of fact, NG Wade was the company that owns the property that they were going to purchase, or probably still are going to purchase, to put the two government subsidized private businesses on. So they're wanting to buy that land from NG Wade. NG Wade's got its hand in the honey pot on this project already. So does Dewberry. I mean, so I guess Dewberry brought it to the county's attention. I guess they're just going to get the contract. I mean, I'll be interested to see how that unfolds. So, they own a ton of land in here. And then let me show you, because I had pulled it up. So there's here it says Upper Wakulla River and Wakulla Springs Project Star 2023. Wastewater. So we're looking for the little yellow ones, right? And this is inside of Wakulla County. So here's a little yellow one. And it says BMAP ID lead entity. So the lead on this is Wakulla County. Partners not applicable. Project number WC-026. So Winco wastewater treatment plant purchase, nitrogen reduction, Northeast Wakulla County. So they've already decided they're going to purchase it. I mean, we were kind of told that nobody's done anything yet. Very interesting. You decide. I just wanted to kind of give you guys a little rundown on this. I thought this website was pretty cool. Here's a statewide annual report. I haven't looked at that either. Here's some progress. If you have some time, I would go out and Springs priority focus areas, boundaries, statewide recharge. I mean, a lot of good stuff in here. So, all right, guys, I'm going to grab off here. I didn't even want to get on. I'm not going to do an article on it, but is something to watch, is something I have in my hip pocket. Y'all have a great weekend. Take care.